In answering Exhibit Columbus' thematic question, what is the future of the Middle City, we frame our conceptual approach around 3 keywords from the opening statement during the Exhibit Columbus Symposium last fall. Reflection on the long history of a city named after Christopher Columbus, in a state named after a Native American. The land where Columbus, Indiana is located was ceded to the United States in 1818 through the Treaty of St. Mary's. Yet this has been a place of human activities for more than 12,000 years through the rich and vibrant cultures of Adena, Hopewell, Cahokia, Shawnee, Miami, Kickapoo, and Delaware nations. We recognize that language, cultures, and tradition of these nations continue to this day. Although we are gathering virtually, we remain entwined by land, water, and soil. The intent of our proposal is to acknowledge the silent and suppressed voices of the past, recognize the cultural dichotomies of our present, and advocate for more diverse inclusion in the future. Lawas Grounds is a contemporary memorial and a community ground of land, water, and soil that intends to bridge the cultural dichotomies of our time through the lens of material culture. A place of subtle topological ground moves with the subjective land forms that echo the topography of limestone quarries found in Indiana, and additive techniques that are reminiscent of the indigenous earthworks along the Mississippi and Ohio River Valley. Between the two, water is represented through engraved patterns across the stone, which strives to tie together the dichotomous cultures of our history.
For several years, we have maintained a rigorous interest in Indiana limestone. The material has been traditionally used for many civic buildings and institutions, supplying more than 75% of limestone used in the United States over the past century and a half. Our creative works have focused on utilizing this traditional material for a wide range of contemporary design applications. The geography and geology of Indiana limestone is quite interesting. Glaciers have advanced into this area several times over the last 10 to 24,000 years, and it dramatically changed Indiana's landscape. The younger land deposits were eroded by the glaciers, and the meltwater revealed the bedrock that was formed during the Middle Mississippian period at the bottom of an inland sea. Indiana limestone is mostly quarried along a 40-mile-long belt of stone from north of Bloomington to just south of Bedford, which is about 45 miles west of Columbus.
Many Indiana limestone quarries are trace memorials of Western colonial cultures and the architectural history of America. The rectilinear geometry of the extracted ravine is represented with the continuous limestone groundwork, and the continuity of the landform is also tied to the pattern motif that is found both on the interior tapestry and on the limestone wall panels at the First Christian Church. During the time when Indiana limestone production reached its peak, many middle cities and towns around the Mississippi watershed region utilized this material to build their civic buildings and war memorials around their public squares. These highly symbolic locations directly in the public eye, the colonial memorials were accepted and celebrated. While these public memorials are located on the ground level, memorials of indigenous cultures are often relegated to less visible locations, or even depicted as a submissive kneeling to Western symbolic figure, such as Christopher Columbus. One culture is praised and celebrated, and the other became silent and almost erased. Compared to these colonial memorials, ancient earthworks of Adena, Hopewell, and Cahokia cultures are the indigenous memorials of their time. These earthworks were additively created with the soils of their land and used as a ceremonial place for celebrating seasonal changes or commemoration of their ancestors.
By juxtaposing these two landforms of dichotomous cultures, the rectilinear cutout of Indiana limestone quarries and the more organic earthworks of indigenous cultures, Lawaso Grounds proposes to celebrate the breadth of these cultures in one common ground in a city named after Christopher Columbus in a state named after Native Americans. Water is a shared element for almost all cultures. Both indigenous and Western cultures tend to settle near rivers and creeks. In the case of quarries, the excavation and fabrication processes require water, and water is also sacred for many indigenous cultures in America.
In the proposal, the continuous landform of limestone groundwork flows like a river, connecting the additive landforms. And Katrina Mitten, a bead artist and a citizen of Miami Nation of Oklahoma, collaborating with us to engrave some symbolic pattern of water and indigenous cultures on the limestone panels that meets at the intersections of these two cultures.
Hi, my name is Katrina Mitten. I'm a member of the Miami Nation of Oklahoma, but I live here in Indiana as I've lived here all my life. After removal of our people from Indiana, 5 families that were allowed to stay, and one of them was mine. To us, water is life. We come from water. Our original story is that the Creator told us to come out of the water and come out on top of the land and to build a village there. Also because women carry their children in water, so our next generations come from water also. I was asked to help with designing the engraving, what designs could be used to represent the Native people that were originally from this area, the nations, the Shawnee, the Delaware, Kickapoo, Miami. We've looked at the ribbon work designs of each of those nations. The thing I love most about this project is the fact that the people coming through are interacting with the designs of our people. They're able to question those things. What are the mounds? What are these symbols that are left here in this limestone? What about the limestone there in the area? You know, it's an educational process and a sense of beauty also in learning.
While the subtle topological movements create a dialogue in between, the limestone tower acts as a marker within a broader context. Within that context, the tower establishes a dialogue with Henry Moore's large arch and the tower of the First Christian Church. For the tower, we are collaborating with engineers from Cummins Tech Center to design a 3D printed metal bracket that holds the corners of the limestone panels in place. In terms of the fabrication process and timeline, we will start fabricating most of the structural members of the installation in house shops at the Republic Building in Columbus and IU Bloomington's campus starting in early July. We'll start locating the tower location first and assemble the egg crate structure around it, then assemble the limestone and astroturf around the limestone groundwork throughout August.
We truly hope the Columbus community and the visitors of Exhibit Columbus appreciate and acknowledge the different legacies and histories of our diverse cultures at the communal memorial of Lawaso Ground.